Hello and welcome to Hollywood at Home from Arizona Public Media. I'm Victoria Lucas. Tonight's movie is Little Man Tate, a warm family drama starring and directed by Jodi Foster in her first feature directing assignment. The little man of the title is Fred Tate, an extraordinarily gifted 7-year-old, both in math and music, who has no father but is blessed with a strong and affectionate working-class mother who wants nothing more than for Fred to enjoy a normal, happy childhood. But Fred isn't normal. He's a prodigy, and that leaves him increasingly lonely as he's unable to connect with other children at his local school. So when a brilliant child psychologist, played by Diane Wiest, offers to help him develop his talents in her boarding school for gifted children, both mother and son accept. He and his new classmates do have much more in common, but problems of a different sort arise for Fred. For one thing, he's homesick. For another, fitting in with a new group of kids, each as unique as he is, but in different ways, poses its own set of challenges. And conflict arises between his mentor, the psychologist who knows everything about children in theory, though not so much in practice, and his mother, who may not know much about the theory of child geniuses, but she knows her little boy. Not many filmmakers get the chance to literally grow up in the movie business, but Jodi Foster did just that. She began her acting career at the age of 3 in a series of television shows and commercials. In only a few years, she became, as she put it, a power-hungry 7-year-old who knew that what she really wanted to do was direct. She learned the nuts and bolts of directing by watching, asking questions, and studying the techniques of the directors she worked with. And Foster worked with some of the best, including Martin Scorsese on Taxi Driver, where she was nominated for an acting Oscar, Jonathan Kaplan on The Accused, where she won the Best Actress Oscar, and Jonathan Demme on Silence of the Lambs, where she won her second Best Actress Oscar. She later said that working with those 3 was better training than anything else she could have done. But learning isn't doing. She now needed to land that first directing job. Screenwriter Scott Frank had written Little Man Tate in 1983 as a class assignment when he was in college. Amazingly, the script had attracted attention in Hollywood, but as so often happens, the project was handed around and given a pass by successive studios over several years, until finally the film rights reverted back to the writer. Not willing to give up, Frank approached veteran producer Scott Rudin in 1989. Rudin liked it and agreed to set up the project at Orion Pictures. He sent the script to Jodi Foster to consider playing the mother. As a former child prodigy herself, Foster was drawn to the material, saying, "When you know you're different and you're never going to be like everybody else," well, that was a theme in my own life as a young person. She liked that the script didn't treat the child genius like a sideshow stunt or cute gimmick, but as a developing person who brings out the best and sometimes the worst of those around him. So she told the producer, "Yeah, I'm interested in being in the movie, but I'd also like to direct it. If I can set up a cast and a major crew that you approve, would you accept this as my first movie?" To her surprise, Rudin said yes. Director Foster knew she would need to find exactly the right little boy to play the young genius. So, in addition to auditioning experienced child actors, her casting director started scouring schools and playgrounds for likely-looking kids. 8-year-old Adam Hanbird remembered leaving class at his New York City public school when he was spotted by a casting director who said, "You look like you could be Jodie Foster's son." Well, Adam's only acting experience had been his school's first-grade play, and he didn't know who Jodie Foster was, but he was excited by the idea of being in a movie, and a few days later, he aced his audition. Foster quickly saw that he was the right choice for the part, saying, "Adam is terrifically watchable, and that's important because he's on screen so much of the time. He has almost a Zen kind of focus on what he's supposed to do. It's as if he was born that way." She surrounded the boy with an exceptional cast, including Oscar winner Diane Wiest to play the rigid child psychologist, and Harry Connick Jr. as an easygoing college student who befriends the boy. The film began shooting in July 1990 on location in Ohio. Despite her natural nerves, Foster was confident, saying, "I'd been on movie sets since I was 3. There were things that were second nature to me. I understood staging and pacing and how and why a scene cuts together, and I knew I could work with the actors." Of course, the movie gods took that confidence as a challenge, beginning on day 1. As a first-timer, Foster had wisely scheduled scenes in which she wouldn't be acting that day so she could concentrate on directing. They would start with exterior scenes on a playground where little Fred is alone amid a sea of other children, all of them having fun. Well, first it began to rain. Then it began to pour. Cast, crew, and equipment had to quickly move inside to their cover set where they could shoot interior scenes. Except that Foster's character was in those scenes. Plus, as she later laughed, it was like 100 degrees that day. There was no air conditioning, and I had to change into wardrobe in the bathroom because we hadn't expected to need a dressing room for me. It was not the easiest introduction to directing. Of course, as a former child actor herself, Foster knew how to work with the children in the film, particularly young Adam. She said, "I like being really clear, telling them what I'm hoping for in a language they understand." I remember as a young actor being annoyed by directions like, "Think about your mother," or "Your puppy's dead." Instead, she told Adam, "Just be yourself. Acting is really about reacting to what people are telling you and thinking about how you would react in a situation. If such and such happens, how would you behave?" In the press interview after the movie's first preview screening, young Adam was asked what he thought about his performance. He replied, "I didn't notice it's me when I watched the movie. It looks like Fred, not me. I don't remember how I acted like him. I just did it." The film opened in October 1991 to strong critical reviews for the script, the performances, and Foster's direction, opening the door for her future in the director's chair. As for Adam, he continued acting as a child and now works as a screenwriter and video game designer. So now please sit back and enjoy what critic Roger Ebert described as the kind of movie you enjoy watching. It's about people finding themselves, as it reminds us that gifted kids are still kids. From Orion Pictures, it's Little Man Tate.